Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Moving Mountains for You. I'm your host, Ice Celadon. On a lot of social medias, I go by Sachi Ice Queen. And so today we have a very, very special guest. Since I'm a realtor and I work alongside of a lot of people in the finance industry, I definitely wanted to invite someone in that industry. And this person we haven't physically met, but we have been staying in touch quite often, quite for a little bit. So I was like, hey, you want to be on my podcast? So he's like, yeah, sure. So Jason, I met him on LinkedIn, and we just kind of stayed in touch for a little bit. And I'm just excited for you to meet him, and for him to share what he can do for you, and also just to shout him out, because not everybody is very good at the financing, and I definitely wanted to do an episode around the holidays, because that's the number one reason why we can get gifts for people. If we don't have our finances in order, then we can't do that. So Jason, reintroduce yourself, tell people what you do for a living, and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for having me on, Isleth. I appreciate the opportunity. And it is nice to, in this virtual world, that we're able to, connect, even though not actually meeting in person. It's definitely an interesting time we live in, for sure. But yeah, so I am Jason Baldwin. I'm a financial advisor with Edward Jones investment firm. I've been doing this job for a few years now. I work locally out of the Northeast Arkansas area in Paragould, Jonesboro, kind of bleeds a little bit into the Memphis area as well. But what's interesting is I have actually been designing and building my business virtually ever since COVID. And so I have the unique opportunity to actually work with clients all over the country. So it's been a very interesting transition, but it's been extremely rewarding and has offered me some amazing opportunities to work with some amazing people all over the country. So personally, I am married for 3 years. I am expecting our first child next month, baby boy. Should be here late January. So obviously very excited and nervous for that, to be a new parent. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Well, congratulations. I love babies.
Cheers.
I used to be a preschool teacher, and I mean, I'm certified to teach Spanish, so I could technically teach in any setting. But I really love babies, and so I was like, I want to work at a preschool.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I just love babies. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Now
Thank you
I'm
so
just a
much.
virtual teacher um
All right.
for LearningIdiom, and this is my nonprofit. So I don't teach as much because I'm a realtor now, so that kind of took a lot more of my time.
Sure, that's understandable. It's a time-consuming career for sure.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. So but yeah, it's definitely always great to meet some people and network, even if it's not, in person. And I just got a really, really good vibe off you. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna have him on my podcast. I want to shout him out and shout
Well,
what
I
he does for
appreciate
the
that. Thank you.
community. So my first question is who motivated you to be in the financing industry?
Yeah, so that's kind of an interesting story. So I actually, my background is in history. I was actually going to school to be a history professor. That was kind of my passion and my goal. My wife kind of convinced me to go back and finish my degree in history. And I actually worked with a financial advisor at Edward Jones myself for over a decade. And this individual, he is an absolutely just amazing human being, a great, great financial advisor. And as I was getting ready to transition out of my career in the service industry, I did restaurant management, bar management for years while I was kind of going to school and while I was still trying to in transition. Um, I decided to make a switch in careers just so I could spend more time with my wife. And she worked as a nurse. And so you can imagine our schedules never lined up. I was always working in the evenings. She always worked in the daytime. And then on the weekends, she would take call. And so it was just always, it was always a struggle for us to spend time together. So I started searching for a job, and my financial advisor found out about that. And he took me out to lunch and he said, Jason, you have to come work for Edward Jones. You would be crazy not to come work here. And in my head, I thought he was insane because I had literally no experience with finance. I was like, I told him, I was like, you're my finance guy. Like, what do I want to, like, I go to you for my questions. Like, how could I do it? And he basically explained to me, he said, look, the financial stuff, we can teach you that. That's not the hard part. The difficult part of being about a financial advisor is you have to be persistent. You have to be willing to put a lot of hard work in on the front end, but you also have to be honest and trustworthy. And he's like, those are things we can't teach people. And if you have those skill sets, you can be a very, very successful advisor. And you can do it in a way that not only are you financially doing well yourself, but you're helping others. And you can have that experience of having a very successful career that is motivated solely upon making other people better off. And he said, you just can't ask for a better career than that. So we talked it out over the course of a little while. And I talked with my wife about it. And we thought, okay, maybe it'd be worth giving it a shot. And what was really sneaky was our firm offers an opportunity with advisors called Travel Awards Program, where based on performance and how well you take care of clients, you get to go on these amazing vacations that the firm pays for. And it's a really awesome program. And he sent me home with the book with all the vacations because he knew the moment my wife saw that book, she would immediately be like, well, okay, so they're going to send us on vacations. Yeah, you're taking this job. Which is exactly what happened. And I did. I went through the process. I took my series exams and got licensed and did the training program. And it was intense, one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do in my life. And it was absolutely 100% worth it. And I honestly could not imagine doing a different job for the rest of my life. I love this work. It is amazing. And if you'd asked me if I'd have done it 10 years ago, I'd have laughed at you. So,
well, that's amazing. I can totally relate to that because I became a realtor this year, but I've been a consultant for over a year. And, I was in that too, in that I used to be in the banking industry. I used to work at a bank. And so I love finances. I loved working at the bank. But the moment someone was like, hey, I'm going to pay for you to, study and get your license. Do you want to be my Spanish speaking agent? I was like, let me think about that. Like, I was like, whoa, I had been working at the bank for like 2 years. I loved it. It was really steady income. I would translate and interpret, on the side. So it was, I've had my translating and interpreting business for 4 to 5 years. And so I had just been working my job, my business part-time. And then I still had my full-time job. But once this guy wanted to hire me to be his consultant, he was, that was kind of like, oh wow, he I don't know, realtor. Like I was just
right,
like, I wasn't sure yet, but I don't know. I prayed about it and I was like, and so now that I am licensed and like I love it. Like I feel the same way that you described it. Like if you would have told me, that I was going to be a realtor or be in the real estate world, I probably would have not like probably laughed at you or be like, nah.
sure.
I always wanted to be a teacher. I loved being a teacher. And so I thought I was going to be like a non-traditional type of teacher full time.
Right.
But I love the real estate world. This is something that I love. I've grown to just, love the aspects of it. And I'm with an investment firm. So, it's a little different, but I being a realtor is with the way that you described it is how I feel too. So I definitely get you there. But we deal with a lot of banks and lenders and a lot of people. So I think the history of me being in banking history kind of helps me kind of when they don't know what to do with when their credit's messed up or so it definitely helped my current career. But what would you say to someone who wants to financially set their kids up for success?
Sure. So anybody who's wanting to set your kids up for success, I think the first thing you need to remember is you have to have open communication about finance. It is somewhat of a taboo subject, it seems, among families to talk to your kids about money. And it's a really big shame that that's the case. And it doesn't matter whether you're which side of the spectrum you are with money. Like if you have a lot of money or you have almost no money or anything in between, you money is still an important aspect. Um, and so you need to have those conversations openly and honestly with your kids. Let them understand the value of time. And that's another thing that is important, especially with setting your kids up for success. The biggest value you have with investments is time. Compounding interest is one of the greatest things when it comes to finance. And if you don't understand what that is, it's your money making more money on itself over and over again. And time gives you so many opportunities for such a little amount of investment on the front end. Even putting $5 a week, away in a compounding interest investment strategy for your newborn kid can lead to great, great results down the road. But I think the biggest factor is it's open communication. If your kids aren't aware of finances and they don't ever think about it their whole lives, then when they become adults and they get thrown into the world and all of a sudden they have to balance a checkbook and figure out how they're going to handle their credit scores and talk about saving for retirement and talk about saving for a house and figure out how they're going to pay their bills, that's a lot to happen to one person in a single moment. So if they get an experience or have the opportunity to understand that going forward as at a young age, you're going to set them up for success without question.
I think that's totally true because like my son, he's 11 and I teach him about money all the time. He's published 2 books. And so I have his own bank account and I'm like, hey, all of your book, sales, that's your money. And so, but I've been slowly but teaching him because, I tell him, okay, do you want these, $10 so that you sold a book and do you want it just to go buy like a gift, or do you want to spend that $10 to buy merch that you can resell into more money and make more money from those $10?
Right.
And so sometimes he chooses the merch, sometimes he chooses the toys, and he can do that. But I think, having that verbal communication with them and teaching them and kind of like telling them their options, I think that's really, really important because my parents never did it with me. I learned financing just on my own. But
well, your kids will surprise you a lot of times. I think people don't give kids enough credit. You know, kids soak in a lot more of what's happening in the world around them than parents give them credit for. And if you're open and honest with your kids about money, a lot of people are like, well, that's not something they need to worry about. Well, that's okay. They don't need to worry about it. But if you talk with them openly about it and they understand the value of money and they understand that, there's a mortgage that you're paying or you're paying rent and there's bills and things, these are things that are constant, they're going to have a little bit more respect for the money that they do receive. And they're going to make some wise decisions. They're going to make some bad decisions too, right? But we all have to experience that. But it's better to experience that, I think, as like a 13-year-old who's got an allowance, who's doing that with their money, than, say a 25-year-old who now wants to purchase their first home and realizes that they have no credit and nobody's going to give them a loan to buy their home. Same lesson, very different catastrophic results.
yeah.
But that's the thing. I think people just don't give kids enough credit for how smart they can be.
That's very, very true. I mean, Greenlight is one of the is who I use because they help you have, children's accounts. Most banks sometimes they do it, but sometimes I think for the most part you always have to have like the parent has to be the authorized signer until at age. But I've had a IRA for him for a couple years, and so I think if you don't know what an IRA is, I'm pretty sure Jason can tell you.
that is, if you do not know what an IRA was, you need to have a conversation with a financial advisor.
Yes,
that is something that everybody should have. If you don't have one, you are missing a very great opportunity.
You really are.
But that's amazing. That's great that your son's got that attitude. And the same thing with custodian accounts, that you can open up. Financial investment firms will open up custodian accounts for your children, and allow them, and they can have as much or as little access to the assets as you feel comfortable with. Ultimately, there is a guardian who needs to have custodianship of the account. But if they're involved with the account and they're making decisions, then they're going to learn the process of investing much better, and they're going to come into adulthood with an understanding of savings far beyond most of their peers.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I guarantee you, there is not an individual on this planet who reaches retirement age who looks at their retirement account and says, man, I wish I would have started when I was 18 years old, or man, I wish I would have started when I was younger. And that is because, again, and this comes back to kind of the earlier statement, time. The time value of money is the biggest value you have. And the earlier you start, the better off you're going to be. No question.
That's for sure. Yeah, I totally agree. You know, I always tell people to invest in real estate because it's pretty easy, but
Sure.
I definitely always tell them, you know, there's different ways for you to invest, and, you know, investing in yourself is really, really important. So maybe you don't have kids, but maybe you want to start investing in your future. Definitely reach out to Jason. He can definitely, you know, help you out in that area. And so my last question is, if life was a lesson, what would you say it's been teaching you using one word?
Ooh, one word I would say probably perseverance. If I had to choose one word, yeah, definitely perseverance. If you have a goal in mind, whatever it is, you're never going to reach it without it. And so, yeah, I would say perseverance for sure.
That's a good word though, because you know, if you don't have that perseverance to, you know, keep doing the small little things that make you successful, because I mean, really, there's a lot of ways to success, but the main thing is to be persistent, to having that, you know, constant repetitive thing that's obviously doing good or bad, you know, depending. But you know, that's really, really important for any business owner to be to have that perseverance to just keep going. I'm grateful and thankful that I finally last month was my last actually starting last month is when I went full time into my business since I became a realtor, like
Oh,
on the realtor
congratulations.
board.
That's a huge step.
Thank you. Yeah, it's well, I've been in business for about 4 to 5 years, but like I said earlier, like it was always like part-time
Sure.
or, you know, it wasn't full-time. And so once I became a realtor, I just didn't have time. I didn't have, and like the extra income that I was, you know, I was part-time at I was a substitute for a preschool. I just didn't have time anymore. I was like, I have too many clients I need to take care of, and you know, and so, and it was just extra income that I was just like not, and I was like, you know, you talked about time. I was like, you know what, I need to focus my time on being the best agent for my clients and my investors. And so I decided to just step out and do it full time, and I'm just so grateful that I did.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you've been in business for how long have you been an advisor for?
About 3 or 4 years at this point.
Awesome. Congratulations. You know, that's
Thank you.
really it's a good field to be in. And so thank you so much for your time, and any shout outs you want to give or any closing remarks you want to say?
No, just look, to everybody out there, a lot of people find this kind of stuff to be a little scary and daunting, but it doesn't have to be. Nobody is an expert in everything. Don't feel bad about reaching out to people who know what they're doing. You go to a doctor when you're sick. You can go to a financial advisor, when you need help with finance. And yeah, reach out to your local Edward Jones office. We're everywhere. If you want to reach out to me, please feel free. My number is 870-215-0679. And we can help find a local person for you, and just whatever way we can help, we are happy to do it. So
Awesome. Yeah, I'll leave your information in the description so they can reach out to you if they want to, you know, you help people all around the country, just like me. I'm a
all over
realtor.
the country, yeah.
I'm a realtor, but I can always refer people to an agent near you, you know. So I always tell anybody, even though I'm licensed in Arkansas, I can still help you, like
Right.
connect you with like a really good one in your area,
Exactly.
I'm on the board now, so it's kind of a little different. We go under a little bit more training, so I look for people who are not just real estate agents but realtors.
For sure.
But thank you so much for your time, and um, good luck with your new baby. I love
Thanks.
babies, so
Yeah, I'll definitely share some pictures with you whenever he gets here, Isleth. So
yay, awesome. Yeah, I
well,
love it.
thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it, and yeah, look forward to if ever you need me to come back on for anything, just let me know. Happy to do it. So
Okay, sounds good. Well, again, you guys were listening to Moving Mountains for You, and this is Islet Celadon, and hope you guys have an amazing holiday season and Happy New Year, and take care. God bless, and peace be with you.